In other words, if we're going to transition from standard diesel power to whether it be hybrid, whether it be fully electric, when we developed, and I want to say this, when we developed eBOS, we said, all right, what's our number one thing? That's right. I said, we want our customer and their customer to not have any greater expense than they do today. Engineers, go figure that out.
Welcome back to Shop Talk here at the ARA Show, live in Las Vegas, powered by ANA. We are so excited to be here today. Elliott, great to see you again, sir.
Absolutely, brother.
And we're super excited to be joined by our friend and sponsor and an incredible supporter of the rental industry and a partner to so many rental businesses, ANA President and COO, Kevin Day. Kevin, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, I appreciate being here. Thanks for having us.
So Kevin, let's start by talking about the way that you have developed and really kind of pursued your vision for ANA. And you strike me as the type of person that is not afraid to think big. And the way that you've developed products and grown your business has followed along those lines. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think my business partners and I, Mike Nemelis, my business partner is a CEO, and Alicia Lanio is my business partner who is our CFO. The three of us know that today we have diesel power generators. And diesel power generators are a critical product in most rental fleets, whether it's an independent rental store who maximizes out at 45 kVA, or you get into the big nationals who get into megawatts worth of power. We all know that the tier changes in engines have created lots of challenges over the years. Few years back, a customer called us and was really angry because he's like, I need you to replace an engine because we have a real serious problem. What's your unit? Long and short, we get out there and he's got a 25 kVA generator that's been running at 1 kW for months on that.
Amen.
And so an engine just went away. And so that was the precursor to, this is a really serious problem. We got to do something about it. We did what a lot of companies do. We went out, we figured out how to develop an integrated load bank system. We call it Smart Load. Yep. A lot of us, whether any of the brands, we've all come up with our own variation of that to help solve a problem. Well, it solves a problem. The generator's not going to have the issues, but we just created a bigger problem. We're burning fuel and we're putting more emissions into the air. And we just can't think like that. We got to get past that. And that was the beginning of us leaning towards a transition. Where does this industry go next? What do we do next?
And that's really what we're here doing at the show, along the theme of discover what's next.
Yeah.
So when I think about that, and Elliott, please chime in here as well, but in terms of what's next, the way that you're looking at the rental market and the needs of your customers, because I see you as a partner to the rental industry, how do you think about that in terms of what's next?
Yeah, it's a great question. And your point is that we are a partner. We look at it that way. I'm really fortunate. I spent some time in the equipment rental side of it. I worked at Nations Rec right before we sold to Sunbelt. And I learned so much on that side. They're assets. We got to turn those assets into profit. And so coming back to this side, I really understood, okay, we've got to go help them be successful. That's our job. We're not just selling them gear. We actually have to sell them product they can be successful with.
That's right.
And you know, kind of transitioning off that last conversation about load banks, my business partner went home over the weekend. He left. He said, this is great. We're going to help customers. This is really frustrating. I don't want to do this. People are going to spend the capital cost of a generator in fuel. annually to solve this problem. And we're doing that, all of us. And he went away and he called me on Sunday and he said, I want you to look at what I just sent you. Europe is out here. They're using batteries in these types of instances. And I'm not joking, a couple of weeks later, we flew to Europe. We went and met a company. It was a company called Off-Grid. Off-Grid got purchased by Pramac.
Amen.
And we were the distributor. We immediately came home with a distributor contract agreement.
Wow.
And we spent the next year and a half trying to figure out how do we implement this into our customers' rental fleets and allow them to be successful. It didn't work for us. We never actually sold. We really struggled with how our customers were going to get the return on investment. You know, our customers have life expectancies of power of anywhere from 42 to, honestly, you could get out there 72 months kind of as a number on the far side. And we couldn't see that our customers were going to get that kind of return with this. But it led us to a whole different idea, a whole different technology, challenging our engineers with how do we sell something to our customers that is hybrid, where they actually can get the same exact return on investment they do today with a diesel powered generator.
So I'm going to interrupt you there because I realize, and here's the thing, we've known each other now for forever, 25, I was doing the math. I think we've known each other for 25 years. I will tell you right now, I want to show like where you've come from and where it's been. And the crazy thing is you and I both know we won't get into all of our history, but we roll onto a job site. Something everybody on this can relate to. A job site, it's the bulk of our business. You roll up to the job site, there's the job trailer, there's the generator.
You nailed it, Elliott. That's the target.
Yep. And this is the thing, your energy boss, and it really warped my mind. So mad props to you guys. You saw the problem and you solved it. I remember I would show up. Some of the guys got a 25 kW, some got a 30 kW. Some guys went out and they needed a 45 kW as we've got an air conditioner, right? And you'd show up and there were service techs out there morning, noon, and night. And I'll give you a story. I remember a guy called me up and he had a 7-Eleven. They had to redo the power, so they had to hook it up to a generator. And we sent out a generator. He hooked it up to the 7-Eleven. Of course, every time the cooler kicked on, higher load. Every time it kicked off, lower load. Every time somebody walked through the door and the air conditioning kicked on, higher load, lower load. The electrician didn't know what to do. And the problem is neither did the generator.
That's right.
So somebody went out, turned the knobs. Why don't you tell everybody, you didn't even know this story. And we all know what ended up happening. It fried out every single piece of equipment in there.
That's right.
And the crazy thing is, I don't think people realize that your energy boss, it didn't just solve the environmental impact, which I give you mad props for. It didn't just solve the fuel problem, which is mad props. But that energy load, and people, you don't need to be an electrician, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And your batteries control that to stop from frying entire electrical systems.
That's right.
Like, I don't think people understand that you sit there and that job trailer can push anywhere from 100 amps to 5 amps within an hour of each other. And there's nobody there who's controlling the generator. And instead what they do, they show up, fill it full of fuel, let it run for 10 hours, even though they don't need any of that. That's where your generator can turn on, run for 4 hours, charge the batteries, and take care of the thing all day long. And it doesn't matter what the load bank is. And they're burning 4 hours for the fuel rather than 8 when they really didn't need 8 to 10 hours.
That's exactly right. And that was the target job.
Thank you for doing
that. That was the one we looked at. And I think when I think about our customers, the number one thing for them is reliability. They can't afford downtime. That's the whole idea, right? In the rental business, you got to have the asset out there in the market, making money for the customer, for their customer. And we looked at job trailers, and that was the one we said, my gosh, this is the worst possible scenario for a generator. To your point, a typical job trailer, we'll tell you, a typical job trailer is pulling 1.5 to 2 kW on an ongoing basis.
Yep.
99% of the time. coffee pot turns on, somebody runs a printer, air conditioning unit turns on, we got some computer stuff that we need to run during the night. And a lot of these things are in places where they run 24/7.
Yep.
It just runs around the clock. It is the worst possible scenario for a generator. And that was where we targeted and said, okay, let's go find that job.
That's right.
And let's take Energy Blast there and let's go plug that in. And I can tell you the data that we have back, we have approximately 500 units in the market. The average load of all 500 units is less than 10% of the rated load of the generator.
Wow.
That's just, and that's ongoing all the time with peaks to the maximum load that the generator could put out. So we'll see peaks like on these job trailers. We were amazed. We're seeing peaks at 24.5 kW. Well, the generator is only rated to 24. Great news. If you're using an inverter battery system, it can manage that additional load.
Absolutely.
They have greater distances than an alternator has in some cases. And so that has been a really great win for our customers because the reliability is much better. We're not running issues where somebody feels like they have to manage a generator. People don't manage generators. They're all power.
No, they don't want to.
And then the subsequent benefits were, as you said, massive fuel savings, massive emission savings. And I think what a lot of people didn't consider, the hours that are saved on the generators are astronomical. There's 8,760 hours in a year. Those things are just running around the clock.
Yeah, every doubling or even tripling your fleet life.
That's right.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, and I've had the luxury. I've been so lucky. I've gone down and I've spoken at the hurricane conference. I've gone to all these things. We saw 2 major hurricanes tear through the United States last year. And it was absolutely devastating. And power was life.
Yeah.
How do you scale that? How do you sit there and say, look, we've got the products. How do you make sure that, obviously I watched it and it was an absolutely multi-million-dollar industry getting people temporary power. So I need to ask you this, with emergency power, the catastrophes that happen, with mining, with the way the world's going, what's the future for you?
I'll give you a story that just happened last week. Our landlord in Southern California has a home in Brentwood, California. Wow. The fire came to within a few hundred feet of his home. Didn't get there. Shouldn't be a problem, right? They call and they say, hey, look, we know you guys are in the generator business. Is there something you can help? Can you get one of your customers to get a generator for us? We've had one out here. It was a 45 kVA. We don't know anything about it. We're having some issues with it. And I was like, all right, yeah, absolutely. We'll get you taken care of. We've got some folks. I hung up the phone and I started thinking about it. I was like, well, if they weren't where the fire is, why do they have a problem? I called back and I said, help me understand why you don't have power. And he said, well, the city is telling us that the infrastructure a short distance from us has been impacted. Got it. I didn't even think of that. Yep. I was like, wow, they're telling us it could be a year plus before we get power. Whoa. And I'm like, wow, oh my gosh. I said, well, here, first of all, yes, we'll help you. And I think when you think about,
I got to know, did they do it? Are they looking at it?
We've got a unit there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's a perfect scenario.
Absolutely.
And when you think about all the folks in Asheville and what they dealt with and what they're going to deal with for years.
Mm-hmm. Because you guys are right there in Cypress, California, right?
We are. Yeah, so we're in Cypress. We're here in Henderson.
Yeah.
And then we got a facility in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And so just recognizing this isn't the end of it. The reality of it is this is more common.
Yep.
We're dealing with these things more often. And so we've got to come up with solutions that are going to help us through this transition. My brother's girlfriend works for one of the power companies, well, name it is, in Southern California.
Okay.
They're trying to figure out, are they going to put lines back up above ground? Which, that's the fastest way to get power back. But the end result is this is going to happen again. So do we put it underground? But the challenge is if we put it underground, we could be pushing this project out years.
Absolutely.
Which one is it? And I think for all of us, we have to recognize we got to come up with solutions that are going to help people through these times while this transition happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And be prepared. I mean, that is going to become more and more common. And if you prepare for it now and have a solution for it, test case, already discussed.
Yeah. These are the worst possible scenarios, like that job trailer scenario.
Right.
These are the worst possible scenarios for load variations, because the reality of it is the load at late at night and into the early morning is nothing. The load at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is nothing. But the load in the morning for 2 or 3 hours and the load from 5 to 8 at night, they're good loads.
It solves the problem.
It does.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, you made a little comment and it really resonated with me that you're working with rental companies, big rental companies all over, and you send out all these amazing products to them, and you think that your vision is it's going to replace diesel generators. Mm-hmm. And then you made the comment of, it didn't replace diesel generators. They're still buying them. It just opened up an entire new business segments of other opportunities.
That's it.
Tell me what kind of things you discovered. Like, how did the market change? I want to hear about that.
Well, I think originally it was, okay, here's a job trailer.
Yeah.
This is a good scenario. What other scenarios are out there that make a lot of sense? Cell towers are running off this, whether it's us, other folks are in the same products that we're doing their versions of what we do. They're all into that. Cell towers are a really significant issue. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, I had no idea that a cell tower 99% of the time pulls almost no power. All of a sudden, once an hour, there's this massive load that happens for seconds, and it's over with. That's a great scenario. That's a challenging situation that has to be overcome. And then you start looking at where we're headed with data centers. And I think that is one of the ones out there that has to be on all of our radar screens.
So let me ask you something. I love the way people educate me, and thank you for educating us today. I had an event I went to, and somebody said, oh yeah, they've got 5 2 megs, biggest generator, like massive generators. They got 5 of them out at this facility for mining. And my mind went to mining, like mining for gold. And they're like, no, Bitcoin mining. And I'm like, wait, what? And the guy says, yeah, the computers are so big, they have to go off grid. Like, what do you see the future of that looking like, and how are you preparing for it?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because what we just talked about is the transition we're in today. Yeah. This is all going to happen over the next 5 years, 10 years. We invested this last year into a linear generator company. They make a linear engine. They have a generator that goes with it. And the interesting thing about this product, it'll run on...
Explain linear, just because I realize not everybody. Explain, I love it because it's your passion. What's a linear generator?
Linear generator, what's the term that they used to use for it that forever? It's called essentially it's a single cylinder.
Yep.
That has heat that generates on each 2 sides of it, and that cylinder goes back and forth.
Yep.
The great thing about that is from a standpoint of if you can get real fine tolerances, you get really, really quality power that you're going to generate in that linear generator. So
absolutely.
So it's a perfect scenario for a generator to turn that power into power that we're going to get through electricity. So we went ahead and invested in this, knowing that today it's not viable. It's just not. Today, the cost for something like this is pretty extraordinary. The great thing about this, it'll run off diesel. It'll run off natural gas. It'll run off hydrogen when that becomes viable a few years down the road. And so when we talk about, whether it's a mega project, whether we talk about data centers, whether we talk about crypto mining, this is an area where we're going to have big power. Absolutely. And we're going to have to do it cost effectively. Again, like the first part of our conversation, this can't be at a cost to everybody, because that affects the entire economy. But we got to get to a point where we can deliver it at a reasonable cost. Look,
another one that I want to throw out there, with all the stuff that's coming, I had the luxury of sitting in on a conference, and I got to sit and watch a running, functioning hydro ice, which is a hydrogen internal combustion engine. And I watched it running, ran a vehicle, They explained the whole thing to me, all the different grades of hydrogen. I mean, with you being so innovative in all the things that are coming through, are you looking at new technologies? What's the wave of the future?
It's a great question. For us, we're really leaning into the energy transition. And so today, my personal opinion, hydrogen's not viable. Our customers can't get it cost effectively, can't get it transported. But I will tell you, here at the show, we have a hydrogen fuel cell product in our booth.
You're kidding me.
No, absolutely. So we've worked with Airman, who is our manufacturer of air compressors and generators, and they've already developed a hydrogen-powered air compressor, just like you're saying with an engine.
Yep.
It's powered by hydrogen.
I'm excited.
A hydrogen-powered generator that is actually powered by hydrogen fuel in a hydrogen fuel cell. Because that is going to be out there as we're talking about 5 years, 10 years. And so we're already there and we're leaning into it. We can learn about it, so we can understand it. The cost isn't going to get cheaper for us. The cost of delivery is going to come to us.
That's right. I want to see that.
Talk about discovering what's next, right? I mean, it may not be now, but it's next.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so important. And one thing that I wanted to ask you about, Kevin, is sustainability. And I think that, in talking about alternative energy, alternative fuels for, not only your products, but for the job site. And, and how do we support that? How do we support that moving forward, and moving the industry forward? One aspect of that is you have a journey to zero.
Yes.
At ANA.
Yes.
By 2050. And you're already ahead of pace.
We are.
If I understand that correctly.
You are correct.
Why is that so important to ANA? Why is that so meaningful to you that is part of your strategy and a priority for you going forward?
Honestly, I get a little emotional by the question. My business partner, Mike, Alicia, and myself, when we developed the Energy Boss, E-Boss as we often call it, one of the things that we recognized is we truly could change the world. I have grandchildren. Alicia's got a wonderful, gorgeous little girl. Our job as people, as humans, is to try to leave the planet in a better place than when we got it. And we really got to lean into that and work towards that. I think one of the things I'm most proud about with eBoss is that generators are going to last longer. So you're not going to replace them as often. The battery technology that we have, these are 80 to 90,000 cycles. Let's cycle a generator every 30 minutes. Let's turn them off. Let's do that. And if we do that, all of this is going to help reduce emissions and carbon footprint dramatically. Our best guess is there's more than 300,000 generators around the globe running.
Absolutely.
Imagine if we could take half of them and turn them off 80% of the time. Because I can tell you, with the 500 units that we have out there, that's what we're doing. We're turning generators off 80% of the time. That is massively changing the carbon footprint of the world.
That's right.
Creating a more sustainable future. And that's what we have to do. The Permian Basin is a place we're focused, 100%. Because while we may not be able to do everything for them, they have drop trailers everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's turn those generators off. And we have to lean into that with everything that we develop going forward.
That's right.
We have to think like that.
Absolutely wonderful.
That is incredible. And that is truly making a difference.
Amen.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for what you and ANA are doing. Thank you for all of your support for the industry. And I think kind of goes without saying, the future of the world. So
It's really nice to meet you.
Pleasure having you on.
Great to see you again, brother.
See you too.
Elliott, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you all for tuning in. Again, this is Shop Talk here at the ARA Show, live from Las Vegas, powered by ANA.